I am Chiranth. So I did my GMAT in about December 2016, and started my application process a little earlier than I gave my GMAT, because it was not my first attempt; it was my second attempt. So my background is in the life sciences sector. So I have a master's in biotech from Georgetown University as well. So I have a little about professionally speaking, I have about 4.5 years of experience, and it's predominantly in the commercialization sector function of the life science healthcare division. So most recently, I had my own startup where we organized medical conferences on a variety of subjects, including endocrinology, neurology, spine health, and so on and so forth. Then, as far as why I chose my MBA, I mean, it was about 2 years back that I realized that I need an MBA, because uh, quite often when I was doing commercialization roles, there were really some shortcomings in terms of understanding what the nuances go in the business world, and there was too much inward interaction where I wanted outward interaction, and I thought MBA would give me a leverage in terms of exposing me to real time situations where I can absorb a lot. I mean, historically, I've seen that when I'm exposed to something new, so it just broadens my perspective and horizons. So that was, in short, I mean, the reasons of why I did my MBA and how I went about it. It was about in by end of 2015 that I decided that I need to give my GMAT. I mean, MBA is a different thing. I wanted to give my GMAT, and so I enrolled into CrackVerbal first for my verbal sessions. So I completed that in a span of about 1.5 odd months. Then went about doing the quant section after that. So I gave my first attempt of GMAT, which didn't go real quite well. So I took some time off after that. Started preparing extensively. Used various resources to prepare. So then about gave my next attempt. Uh, as and when I was doing my GMAT, I started my application process, so which involved identifying schools based on a number of things. Firstly, it is the geography I want to work in, the geography that is suitable given the circumstances that are currently pervading across the world. Then beyond that, I was looking at schools which have some kind of specialization in my sector, which is healthcare. So I narrowed down my schools to Canada, which is where I mean, it's fairly easy and friendly to immigrants as well. So I saw the Schulich School of Business program. I liked their the variety of specializations that they have to offer. And my second choice was obviously Rotman, but Rotman was more tilting towards finance, which I was not opposed to, but I wasn't really sure if I should do it or not. So I went ahead and started writing my essays with the help of CrackVerbal, this one mentor. It was Savio. So I gave my video essays. I started organizing documents, recommendations, so on and so forth. So it took me about a good 2.5 months to sort my essays out, and it was, I think, about 15 days after my GMAT that I turned in my application, and I heard back from Schulich School of Business in about 3 weeks. I got to know about CrackVerbal. I decided on CrackVerbal with a click of, and so I happened to meet Vijay a number of times, and this kind of understanding what the offerings are. be it in terms of the GMAT prep and or the application process. So I spent sufficient time, and so the one thing that I liked was the approach to verbal, right? I mean, verbal is something which I usually initially approached as someone who's English savvy or English who's good at English, but it's beyond that. I mean, it's logic, and you can develop your own algorithms to break down problems in the GMAT verbal section. So I was very happy about that. So that kind of this helped me considerably, with my verbal section. Then beyond that, I thought that quant is something that I mean, my background is life sciences. I always view quant as I would prefer chemotherapy to math any day. Uh, so I took CrackVerbal's help. It worked out pretty well, and I had sufficient different resources in mind. Then during the process, I learned about CrackVerbal's mentorship thing as well. So that was one thing that really, uh, I must say, the end-to-end solution thing really. This one, like every single writing of mine was reviewed. It was validated, tested, and kind of refined wherever I could. Not just in my essays, but even in my recommendation letters and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much it. Well, my first intention is you need to have a strong enough reason about why you want to do an MBA. It's not that MBA is fashionable and just because an MBA from a grade there's a university it's not like you do an MBA and you get a job, right? There should be a definite plan. And I would say that the GMAT being the first step is very important. So you need to prioritize time, allocate time within a busy schedule. I was fortunate enough to have a lot of time at hand because I was self-employed, and I had I had people to back me up when I couldn't cover work and so on and so forth. So it's something that I would say that a weekly at least 3 to 4 hours of hardcore studying during the weekdays, and there's some weekends you can spend all out. And for that, it's very important about the reason I say about knowing what to do is why you want to do an MBA is if you don't have a reason to do an MBA, you won't choose your good schools. I mean, if you don't have a plan about where you're going to see yourself in the coming years and how will an MBA help you, then your choice of schools itself will be a little this one. It won't have an impact in your career. So that would be my one advice.